All right, welcome everybody to Backstage with BobbyD. I got my guy D Hustle with me. What's good, player?
What's going on?
Yeah, bring that music down a little bit. I want to hear your voice, man. What's going on, my man?
Yeah.
All day. We got a special guest with us.
Special guest here.
Special guest. That's somebody that I've had the pleasure of being at the keyboard together. Big shout outs to Asia Taylor. What's up, Asia Taylor? Bring it to the stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Big shout outs to Asia Taylor. And first of all, thank you so much for coming and holla at the Tech Hustle. This is the crew right here.
Thank you for coming.
This is my guy D Hustle. He's gonna be in the cut. You know, he's gonna hold it down. And then obviously we're gonna be here chatting about our time working together at the keyboard at a really cool social media company. And the way that I like to describe working at Twitter is I like to tell people like, yo, I used to work at this really cool social media company. I don't know if you know it, right? It's the one that used to be the little blue bird. And then everybody's like, oh, Twitter? Yeah. So Asia gets to hold that title too, or that badge on her shoulder working at Twitter for a good time. But let's kick off. Just give us a quick introduction to yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Asia. I'm from New York. I moved to Miami during COVID. I've been in the tech industry for about like 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah.
Shout out to that 5 years.
It's been a little minute, and I graduated from University of Miami with my major in computer science and a minor in math.
Hold on. She said she went to the U, kid. You
Yes.
Gotta give it that fire. Gotta give it that fire.
Always holding it down. You know, we in South Florida, we always representing. And big shout outs to your journey. 5 years? Can you believe
Oh
that?
my gosh, I'm getting old. My gosh.
You should see my grades. You talk about getting old. But Asia and I actually ran into each other right at the beginning of your career, right? Is Twitter the first place you worked?
Yeah, Twitter's the first place that I worked.
Awesome. Did you intern there at all? Or
Yeah, so I interned there during 2018. That was my junior summer year. So yeah, that was my first experience, like corporate experience in the tech industry. Before that, I only did research internships. So very new.
Okay, big round of applause.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And the cool thing about that is that your journey starting off as an intern and then eventually getting a full-time opportunity, really in terms of like just me sitting back watching your journey, I was like, oh, that's why you're so good at the keyboard. Because you had a chance to really, get that chance to learn, develop, and then get a full-time opportunity. Because the thing that I want to bring up is that Asia and I used to work on this really cool team called the Compute Team. And let me tell you quickly about the Compute Team. So the way that I describe it to people is like, if you've ever heard of AWS, GCP, or like a cloud platform, the Compute Team basically build the foundational computing infrastructure for Twitter, because we didn't really run in AWS. And the cool thing about it is that Asia, starting off from an intern, and I believe there was maybe even one team before you got to the Compute Team, and we'll definitely talk about that. But you got to work on one of the world's largest compute clusters that has ever been created, right? How do you feel about that in terms of like your experience?
Yeah, I think working on the Compute Team was just a great first starter experience. I think before I even started working full time, and even when I was interning, I really didn't have a good understanding of like, how does this app run? So really getting an understanding like the hardware behind it, the software, and having a platform which all engineers at Twitter needed to basically deploy their services. It just gave me such a better understanding of just like how everything works. So.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's like so amazing to hear that you got that at the beginning of your journey, because I think there's a lot of engineers that sometimes you don't really know how all the pieces connect together, right? It's like, do you really have an impact in terms of Twitter's success? Our team, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%, because we worked on something that if it went down, not did every engineer, like you said, noticed it, but the whole world noticed it, which was always like intimidating to me to manage, and I know it could have been intimidating to you.
It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
But we'll get through some exercises that we used to work through to help reduce that feeling. Actually, and this is a plug, there's a talk that I did it's about 6 months ago. The title of the talk is called Unmasking Imposters by Debugging Doubt. And it's talking about one of those exercises that we used to run called Red and Blue, which we'll talk more about. But before we get back into talking about the Compute Team, tell me what was the first team that you actually worked on at Twitter?
Yeah, so I first joined Twitter on the capacity planning team. I actually didn't intern on it. I ended up re-interviewing to get on a different team because I met a manager during my internship. His name was Thad.
Oh, big shout outs to Thad's.
Yeah.
Thaddeus, and I don't mean to cut your story off,
For sure.
but he was one of the only black engineering managers, and I was so grateful that you had an opportunity to work with him. He's as of has passed on, and RIP to Thaddeus. But that was one of the most biggest achievements in terms of just me on the sidelines seeing is that you worked on a team with a black engineering manager. Big shout outs to him.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you did over there in capacity.
Yeah, so my time on that team was very brief, honestly. But yeah, so I joined the team. I ended up being the only engineer in the team. I think that they had I don't know what happened before I joined, but so it was just me and Thad. A lot of the work that I did was around helping engineers understand what resources they need for the following quarter, the following year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was most of the work. I don't remember exactly what I was doing at the time. It was just so long ago.
Yeah.
But that is the high level summary of what the team was about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about us engineers is we always have other stuff coming up, and then recalling these stories sometimes is like, actually, I don't even remember what I did.
It's all a blur. It's all a blur at that point.
Even better than that, imagine if you've ever read some code before, and then you're reading the code like, yo, who wrote this? And then you go look at the source, and you'd be like, oh, it was actually me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the capacity planning team back in the days was actually one of those organizations that I actually had a chance to work on too, because I actually worked on fleet management, which was before I joined Compute. And fleet management and capacity management kind of work side by side. And just like Asia's saying, like the capacity management team was basically doing, the hard work to telling the hardware team and the supply team, like, hey, we need more capacity, we need more computers, or we need more of a specific hardware component. And that service that we provided in capacity management was driven by writing code and automating a lot of the tasks and or developing nice user interfaces and things like that. So definitely big shout outs to you working on that team.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Did you do front end, back end stuff, or what did you mostly do?
It was a little bit of mix of both. From what I remember, it was, actually what I did, one of my first projects was creating some kind of dashboard which showed which teams were using what resources and kind of like projecting that out.
Yeah.
And so, it was a little bit of both front end and back end.
So with that said, we have software engineers, we have developers, we got systems and system programmers. So what's your most proficient programming language?
Yeah, so mostly I work in Go. I've been working in Go mostly since I was working at Twitter. So that's what I'm doing now too at Microsoft.
Yeah, Golang is really popping over there. Big shout outs to Golang.
Yeah.
And I'm always excited to hear that companies are also using and adapting to the new trends of a programming language. And one of the benefits I always see about Golang is it can be compiled, and it is compiled so that you can get faster execution versus like an interpreted language like Python. But definitely, how was that transition in learning Go in terms of, I know that wasn't your first language you learned out of school, right?
Yeah. When I was in school, I mostly started out with Java, which was in the programming 101 class, which is, I don't know, kind of difficult, but it gives you like a good grasp on fundamentals. Then moved on to Python because I realized it had so many built-in tools for interviewing where you can just do anything with one line of code. So it's just so easy. Go was actually, the learning curve wasn't that bad just because it's just like very readable and very easy to catch on, which I appreciate. You don't have to manage memory yourself. And I remember doing this learn Go by testing tutorial that I did, that the whole team did, that we kind of learned Go all at the same time when we started adopting Kubernetes at Twitter. So it actually made the experience pretty smooth. So can't complain.
What's up. She's dropping some gems. Give her a little bit of learning Go, like you said, being that it's like a phonic language, and I'm one of those Pythoners. I love Python because it is such a phonic language, and like you said, there's so many libraries. But transitioning from Python to Go was just as easy to adapt because it's readable, just like you said. But then you get so many great values around the latency compiling, and then obviously as it's becoming more popular, you start to get more libraries and stuff like that. So big shout outs to your journey, and I'm hoping she's inspiring y'all to really develop these skills. That's what's up. So one of the things that I wanted to chat up with you about, and just in general about your journey at Twitter and some of the major projects that you've had, and also I would say that there was some point that I actually kind of mentored you on a few really high level projects. Is talking about this program that we had called Red and Blue. Do you remember Red and Blue?
Yeah, Red and Blue. I loved collaborating on that project. I think it was a great opportunity. First of all, Bobby has been running this Red and Blue exercise for years before I even came to Compute. And it was basically this exercise that helped get our engineers ready to be on call. And on call is honestly one of the most stressful and overwhelming things that you'll have to do in your journey as an engineer, in my opinion, especially when you're just starting out. So you have to know how to take care of our systems when things go down.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not even know the answer, so it's important you know where to look for the right resources and also how to loop in the right people to help you, because it's a team effort at the end of the day. So yeah, this Red and Blue exercise was great because it helps prepare our engineers, and working with Bobby on this was just a great chance for me to just...
Thank you. Give me a round of applause. She said working with...
I mean, you know we can pay you to say that. I'm just gonna let you know that right now.
Yo, stop worrying about my sponsorships, bro. Leave me alone, D-Hustle.
Yeah, so I was just so happy that Bobby, passed down this knowledge that me and our other teammates can run this exercise in the future. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, big shout outs to you, Asia. And let me tell you,
Shout out.
Asia was one of those that wasn't afraid of the exercise, but was afraid of it. We was in a meeting room and it was like, yo, we're going to run this exercise. It was like, I was like, you'll be all right. I promise you will. And like she said, it was really just one of those opportunities for us to give all new engineers, especially to the Compute team, the feeling of what it feels like when the fire alarm turns on and the lights turn off, right? It's like, how and what do you do? And more specifically, like Asia said, who do you contact? Because it wasn't you by yourself managing this world largest, massive compute cluster. It was a team of some really bright minds and engineers, and being on call, you were the first line of support. I was actually reflecting in a book that I'm working on. Big shout outs to the book. D-House, you gonna give me some?
Oh, book.
I'll give you the book. Give me the book.
Yeah, I'm throwing plugs in there. And Asia, feel all right to throw plugs too. So I have a book that I'm working on. It's called Breaking Barriers, My Journey to the Top in Tech. And there's a chapter in the book that's called The World Knows Me, But Y'all Don't Know Me Yet. Now, the reason why I label it that way is because our team, Compute, whenever our system went down, the world knows about it. But a lot of people don't know that engineers like you and me, people of color, people that are underrepresented and definitely have had challenges of getting into these opportunities, were the same engineers that worked and fixed and brought that system back up. And big shout outs to the whole squad at Compute. But what made us so effective during those times was Red and Blue exercises like this. So this exercise is one of those that are in my staple of like support that I give to my mentees, and talking about ways for you to become comfortable with being on call, but also ways that you can develop that resilience and also reduce the anxiety, because whenever that damn pager duty goes off,
Oh my gosh,
it's like one of the craziest sounds that it drives me crazy.
I'll never forget it.
And it's like, as soon as you start to have these experiences and or exercises under your belt, then that pager duty doesn't become like almost a heart attack. It's like, all right, put my boots on, let me go get in my laptop, get connected and see what's going on. So definitely big shout outs to you too, because before I left Twitter, I wanted to make sure I made an impact, not just in your career journey, but also a few other mentees that I had. Was like the last time I ran this exercise, I actually had Asia and another engineers become like the leaders of the exercise, so I can kind of like pass it on to you all. And we did an awesome job to showcase the value around it. And I don't know if I've ever got a chance to tell you this face to face, but I was so proud of you both.
Aww.
Like seriously, like it was like an eye opener in terms of just the contributions that I've made, but also seeing your growth and where you were at in your journey.
That's fire.
I'm always dropping. But truly, like I am so appreciative to watch you go from interns on one team to eventually Compute and supporting Compute to a point where it's like, I know Asia's ready for her next promotion. I know Asia can go and kill this project, right? Or, hey, she should be working on that, and ultimately just on the sideline.
Because she's got that gem, baby.
For sure, right?
Around, stop playing.
On the sideline, I was like, making sure the coach knew who was the best player in my book. But yeah, I just definitely want to give you your roses on that behalf, because that was one of my highlights of me when I was leaving. Was like, yo, Asia's good. I know she got it from here.
Yeah, and I just also want to say that what you did was just a telltale sign of what a great mentor looks like and what a great senior engineer looks like. As you grow in your roles in tech, you realize that the work that you do is not just about how many PRs can you push or like how much code can you contribute. It's also how can you help the other engineers in your team grow. So yeah, definitely want to
shout out.
Oh, look at I'm getting a round of applause. Thank
Gotta
you.
give him a round of applause.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've been off the keyboard for a while, so it's so great to hear these feedback that you have, and very much appreciative. Truly am.
So what team were you guys in? Was it red or blue or?
So I'll give you a little bit more. So the red team was meant to be the team that breaks everything, right? Mm-hmm. It's more senior engineers, and our role is to break this test cluster, and then the blue team's role is to make sure that they can bring it up fast enough and or figure out things that potentially could have caused the system to go down.
So I'm assuming when you guys break it in the red, the blue has no idea of how they broke it.
Facts.
And it's their job to figure out how to...
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Sign me up, baby.
That's what's up, D Hustle. I appreciate you breaking it down like that, because that value system around creating that red and blue exercise, number one, the red team also had to be proficient, because imagine if we broke it too much, right?
Yeah, right.
It'd be like, oh shit, we're stuck. Versus tuning and tweaking a few things. And also what we really did was take incidents that we had in the past and recreate those same incidents. Right. And then the blue team, oh my gosh, it went from being terrified of the system to after that exercise, everybody's chilling, everybody's good. Like, oh, now we know. And that was always the value system around running that exercise.
What category you fell in?
I was in the red team too. I also got to destroy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Destroy the that was great.
That's what's up.
Yeah. No doubt. And that's like, and if you think about just Asia's journey to go from being a blue team member to a red team, on our team, that was big accomplishment.
Very big.
Yeah.
Gems, that's love right there.
Big gems, right? Oh, and plug here. Check out my book, because definitely going to cover more about red and blue.
Check out his book.
And number two, I've done a talk called Unmasking Imposters by Debugging, about talking about red and blue exercise. So check your boy out on YouTube. Get that connected. Awesome. Now, Asia, the other thing that we always have, and this always happens to me whenever I talk to people about working at Twitter, is the first thing they say, oh, were you there when Elon Musk was chopping trees and clipping birds and stuff like that? And I just wanted to make sure everybody's clear. Wasn't sure if you got caught up in the layoffs and how that worked out, but tell us a little bit about that phase of Twitter that you went through.
Yeah. Man, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it.
Look at that. She's like,
Acapella.
Yeah. So to be honest, it was an interesting time. I know it was a scary time for a lot of people. I don't personally think I was that scared, just because, first of all, I don't have a family to that depends on me right now. So thank the Lord. But also I did feel confident because I had been preparing for something like this always.
Keeping her ears to the streets. That's what's up.
So I've had mentors in the past recommend, I think you might have even recommended to even just interview at least once a year, just to make sure you have your skills up, even if you don't take the offer, to see what's out there so you're not afraid of it. Because everyone knows interviewing for software engineering roles is so stressful. It takes
that's a gem.
3 months of preparation for leak coding, even if for skills that you might not even use on the job. So it's very stressful.
Facts.
So yeah, just that fact that was already interviewing before that made me less nervous and confident that I could get another job if I had to. But it was very much a wake-up call as far as what I should be looking for in my next role. So the layoffs, from what I saw, were pretty random. A lot of just really impactful and great engineers on my team got cut. I stayed, and I was a SWE too. I'm not really sure how they made the decision, probably based on budgets. So, but there's no point of trying to rationalize it, because who knows? Right. But yeah, it just made me really more aware of like how I should be navigating my future roles, what I should be working on, make sure that what I do work on is impactful. I prioritize my projects properly, and then also that whatever skills that I'm learning in that job will be relevant, and I have kind of like a suitcase of knowledge that makes sense as I transition to role after role, instead of just hopping around in different positions that just don't really correspond to each other.
Yeah.
I think that I noticed that people that were starting to specialize were able to get roles faster rather than generalists that maybe had a couple of years of experience in something that, and a bunch of different things. So those are some things that I've noticed.
Yeah.
Shout out Stage, you're making it happen.
Oh man, Asia just dropped a few gems, and let me tell y'all, there's something called a rewind button on all of these things, right? Just make sure you rewind and listen to what Asia's dropping,
No,
because
seriously.
the mindset is so inspiring that you caught this early, because you are right, keeping those knives sharp, and yes, always interviewing will make you unafraid of interviewing, especially when you need to go get it. And I tell you, just hearing your journey at that point is so inspiring, because even knowing that situation was happening and going to happen, I knew that you were going to be good. And definitely, I was on the sideline waiting for the LinkedIn post to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And definitely so grateful that you've had a chance to, level up into the next role. One thing that I did want to bring up before we talk about your next role, because there's always life after Twitter, and we definitely want to shout you out on that, is working at Twitter, we also had a chance to be a part of a ERG, an employee resource group called Blackbirds. And for me, it was one of those most impactful groups that really just helped me in my journey of becoming, BobbyD in this field, and also being a Black person that works in tech. But I want to hear your journey and ultimately, like, how did it influence you being a part of that group? Not just Blackbirds, but we also had Beats, Black engineers at Twitter.
Yeah. To be honest, I've actually, before I joined Twitter, I never really thought much about how being a minority in tech would affect me. Luckily, I have not had any experiences where I felt like discriminated against or being treated differently on my team. I do think that one way it really did impact me is just where I see myself and how I envision myself. When you think about your career progression, I think usually people can, not usually, but sometimes people can say, oh, I want to be a manager. I see myself being a staff engineer. I see myself so-and-so. I realized for myself that I never really thought that far. So, and I think a big part of it was just, first of all, just not seeing... First of all, in my current company even, I don't really see that many women or any women that are above senior plus, or any Black women at all, barely, that are senior plus engineers. So I think that kind of affects how you feel about yourself and what you think that you can do and what you envision for yourself. So being a part of Beat, Black Engineers at Twitter, and then also Blackbirds, it was a really great community, and I met some of the most inspiring mentors. Meryl was one person I would never forget that really took me under her wing.
Shout out to Meryl. I gave her a nickname, Little Bit. What up, Little Bit?
No, she was so amazing. Really helped me navigate difficult conversations with my manager, understand how my career progression should go. And I remember one thing that she taught me was to show up with confidence and really advocate for yourself. So it was really a blessing meeting her. Yeah. Chris Coco was another.
Big shout out
to my dude,
Chris Coco. What up, player? I'm going to go see Chris Coco too.
Oh, really?
He's going to be on the show for sure.
No, he was really such a huge impact. He was also, I don't know if it was a senior staff or
senior
staff engineer.
In my book, he was a principal distinguished engineer for sure.
Yeah, he was amazing, very inspiring. And then just other engineers that showed you that we're all in this space because we're talented, we're gifted, we're very smart, we worked hard especially. Not that we're anything super special or anything. We all worked hard, and shows you that anyone can do it. And I just love the diversity as far as interests, and that we can all just come together and just connect. So it's just been great. Yeah,
Big
being part of it.
Yeah.
What a journey.
Oh my gosh, she brought up some names and it just brought me back because these engineers, like you said, was in an environment where we were working at a very high level, right? And you had to put respect on their names off rip, right? Especially not even knowing their story, but seeing where they're at right now, just ultimately was like, oh, yeah, we're killing it. We know we have it. We can do it. We just need more people that look like us, right? And definitely the challenges that we have in organizations when we don't see enough people that look like us. And Twitter was one of those places that a lot of people don't know, and I don't take credit for it all, but I definitely have had a chance to really influence that so that engineers like you, when you came up, you actually had other examples to look up to. And definitely want to encourage everyone not to only, ensure that you catching those bags, but also bringing your community along and impacting your community, because those ERGs, employee resource groups, Blackbirds and Black engineers at Twitter really became a home for a lot of us, and us feeling like we are amongst something outside of our immediate team. So big shout outs to all the organizers of Beats, Blackbirds, and yeah, your boys on the street. So y'all better pull up to the tech hustle, because I want to hear y'all voices too. All right, Asia, but the next thing I want to talk about is life after Twitter. So I left Twitter in 2022. I was done. I was like, yo, I wrapped up a cool project. I don't know if you've seen some of my emails that I sent out, very artistic, meme focused emails about when I left Twitter, and also like just one of the big projects that I worked on. But tell me what life has been after, Twitter and your Elon Musk run-in.
Yeah, life after Twitter has honestly been great. I feel like it's a new wind in my career. To be honest, the working during the pandemic, especially that being the start of my year, and things being remote, and then also being on a team where I think after a while there was a lot of confusion as far as direction of that team, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I think changing roles really gave me new direction and really an understanding that I am in control of my fate as far as when it comes to my career.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm at Microsoft now.
Oh, hold on. What did she say?
I gotta hear it again.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I got you, D Hustle. Go ahead. Clear the mic. Say that again.
Yes, Microsoft.
Woo! Big shout outs to Asia.
Love it. Yeah, which has been super cool, and it's awesome because my twin brother, he also works there. So it's funny how we ended up.
It's a family affair, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Big shout outs to his name again?
His name is Aaron.
What up, Aaron?
Aaron, what up?
Love that guy.
Is he also here in South Florida?
No, he's in Atlanta now. He's going to move to North Carolina. But, yeah.
Okay. But hey, he's at Microsoft holding it down. That's what's up.
Yeah, so it's been great. I think that I've learned a lot of the things that I learned about at Twitter, like how to lead a project, how to communicate effectively with my peers has really helped me. One thing that I also learned at Twitter was, obviously, as we've been talking about through this whole conversation, is just the importance of mentorship. I think that Twitter, when you're a new grad at least, they really make sure to designate a specific mentor for you and kind of hold your hand with it. And then you realize when changing companies, it's not like that, especially like when you're not a new grad anymore. So you really have to take it upon yourself to kind of like, if there's some engineer in your team that you admire their work ethic, like, or something that about them that you want to learn from, you have to take it upon yourself to set up those one-on-ones, set up those meetings, and really form that relationship. So I definitely learned that from Twitter that I took into this job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just since moving roles, my confidence has grown a lot as an engineer, and it's kind of like sparked my interest
She
back
said,
in this space.
I walk straight up now.
Yeah.
I don't even people look up at me.
No, it's great. It's really great. I think that I used to think that being a great engineer meant that you had to be like a genius, or like there's some kind of like innate skill that you're born with that, and mind you, that might be true for a lot of people that are just like, there's these engineers that are super smart, catch on really quickly, which is very true. But a lot of it is just how you spend your time, and be smart about how you spend your time, what you do in your free time that might help you learn faster. And how you work with your teammates to get the most out of what you're doing that day, and just staying organized. So I've definitely taken these skills to my new job.
Yeah.
So much jam over here. I don't even know how to
hustle. Like,
Yeah.
I hope we brought an empty check. We gotta write. We're gonna have to write something for Asia. Yo, I really do appreciate that insight. And congratulations of getting to Microsoft. Like,
congratulations
for sure. Like, I remember when I saw it on LinkedIn, and I'm over there like, when is she gonna get? Where's she gonna go? And Microsoft. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. And I was only just grateful for your experience that you had and then what you were going to bring to this new environment and this new culture. And everything that you said, I'm so happy that you've gotten to this point in your career, because now it's like you've gained all that value that we poured into your cup, and I know you're going to be pouring into others' cups. So big shout outs to you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, where we at in time, D Hustle? We about 30 minutes. Oh, look at that. We still got some more time, people. Give them a round of applause. We don't want to cut it off yet. Asia has the opportunity to ask me some questions. So being that Backstage with Bobby D is pulling up with his old peeps at Twitter and places that I've used to work, I want to give my guests an opportunity to ask me a question if there are any, and definitely want to just to throw the mic your way to see what's good. What's up, Asia?
Yeah, so I've been following you on LinkedIn. I know that before you left Twitter, we talked about how you had a calling to just meet with people in the community, share your experiences, be on stage, talk about what your work did, talk about your journey, and I see you doing that, and I love that for you. I just want to know, I guess, what has been the most rewarding part about this work so far that you've been doing and starting your own thing, especially with your family involved?
Asia, thank you for that question. Yeah, low key, Asia's young royalty for me. You know, she's over here asking me some royalty type questions. And yes, you and I had conversations, especially when I was about to part ways. First of all, I was just trying to make sure that you were good, letting you know, hey, I'm about to step out. So I kind of gave you the game plan. And I'm so happy that you're one of the people that I gave the game plan, and you've already see some of the work put into place. Because yes, I've done so much, and I've been screaming from the mountaintops because I am on this calling, this mission to really impact our community directly. And that's why I had to step away from the keyboard, in the sense of I couldn't be that type of level of engineer because it just requires so much focus, right? And stepping away from the keyboard, really seeing where our community's at, only gave me more reasons why, like, oh shit, I should definitely be doing this because I know how much I can impact our community. So one of the things that's been so valuable, yes, I've spoken on stages around the world. I've spoken at different colleges, universities, and stuff like that. But the thing that's so like rewarding to me is when I run into a mentee, talk to people just like you, or getting to see people's journey after 3 to 5 years, or after they've had a chance to talk to me and see direct impact in their lives. Like that right there is like foundational for me. Like it's pouring into my cup. And I don't do it for no other reasons. Obviously, I want these bags. D Hustle says we got to be on the hustle, right?
Gotta be on the hustle.
But for me, what pays me is actually seeing you all be as successful as you are, because I wish I had somebody like me when I first started in the industry. And I'm only giving you these shoulders to stand up on. And it's not like you're not using them to your full potential. But you're giving back to me by being you and being successful and pursuing your career. So if anything, I've been so grateful for the opportunity to be a mentor, to be a coach, to be someone that is, you know, influencing the tech industry. But the ultimate results is seeing what that does to people's lives, because that's the thing that really just hits me to my core.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Shout outs.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Asia, for that question. It's always great to hear, you know, some insights from other people. And you have another question lined up?
Yeah, I was wondering, actually.
That's another one. What's up?
I have maybe like 2 or 3 more questions. But also just this planning for this year, what do you guys have planned that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so thank you for that plug, because I'm about to drop a few things. So the Tech Hustle, big shout outs to the whole crew. D Hustle's holding it down.
I'm here.
Raymond, don't call him Ray. Ray's at the crib and holding it down. But the crew itself, we've actually established an online community. It's on a platform that's called School, SKOOL. You can definitely check us out. And what we're doing is we're creating a space for people that are, number one, looking to get into tech, but also if you're already in tech, join the community. Now, there's going to be a separate section for people that are in tech, because that's the community that I really want to service. So what I'm really closing the void in is not getting people into tech like a lot of other organizations are. I'm trying to support engineers like you that are in tech, that may not have peer groups, people to look up to, and or recreating what we created with beats. Like, it's like, hey, this is your home to talk about tech, and there are people that look just like you, so that ultimately we're feeding and now actually pouring into your cup even if we're not at the same company, but you're a part of the same community.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the main driving factors around our online community is like, hey, if you're in tech and you look around, you don't see nobody that looks like you, come and holler at the Tech Hustle, because we got a lot of people and we can get you in peer groups so that you can develop.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
I was actually just looking for a group. Well, working remote is very lonely sometimes, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for just like an opportunity to just network with people that maybe are in Miami that work in tech that are also remote.
Yeah.
So something like that maybe sounds good. It sounds a little bit along the lines of what you're talking about. So
Asia's already signed up.
Yeah.
Asia got free subscription to our premium services, so she's good to go. She's gonna help. We're gonna help you find that community for sure, right?
And if you're on school, hit her up. She's there.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I guess my other questions are just around kind of reflecting. So do you ever think about going back to being an individual like engineer anymore? Or are you retired from that lifestyle?
So some deep questions here. I don't know. D Hustle, you want So am I you know the truth, Asia? I miss it though. I do miss it. Because working at that high level of engineering was so fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know what we really built, right? We talk about running one of the world's largest compute clusters. When it goes down, everybody knows it in the world, but nobody really knows the joy that you get in being able to administer things like that. One of the stats that I like to tell people is we manage hundreds of thousands of computers around the world running in one of our clusters, 500,000 containers. Like, where do you hear that at, right? You only hear it at these hyperscale, large, FANG type companies. And if that's where I left, right, like if I'm going back, that's where I got to go back to, right? So I'm always intrigued about the technology, intrigued about what contributions I made. And it's not in my cards right now because I'm on this community journey. But hell yeah, I'm getting back at the keyboard.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you had plans of thinking about that.
Yeah, I got to get back at it and really just increase my impact, right? So my main thoughts is like, as I'm building and growing these communities, I'm going to give you the real hustle. As I'm building these communities and actually getting people to develop skills amongst them, especially on our premium side of the house. Remember, that's only for people that are really already in tech, right? Is creating a company very similar to what we did on the compute team. So imagine if a Black-owned AWS company owned by BobbyD, D Hustle's holding it down, right? And what we're doing is building a very simplified interface so that you can schedule workloads anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you under the table what we're doing is I will be at the keyboard pursuing that $1 billion company soon.
I love that.
And definitely taking the community with me. So one of the mantras that I have for the community is that by being a part of this community, you're going to help influence and develop a $1 billion company, which is building a compute platform similar to what we did at Twitter, simplified interface, running workloads anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, Asia's getting it all out of me. Look at this.
Yeah,
Wow.
I love hearing how you talk about your work, and because it's so obvious the passion that you have, and that this was the right choice. Just this whole field, going into this field, was the right choice for you. So it's so great hearing the pride that you talk about your work with. So that's awesome.
Thank you so much, Asia.
Yeah.
Any other questions you got?
I think one last, maybe two last questions.
Oh, go ahead.
Then I'm done. Two last questions.
No. The time is yours.
Yeah. Well, one question I would say. So I'm at year 5. I guess that's kind of a little fresh compared to a lot of people of working. Is there anything that along your long career that you would go back and change, how you did things differently, or how you went about certain things that you would do differently that you would
That's a great question. Great question. So one thing that I would go back and change is mindset-wise. One thing that I always felt is that my work spoke for itself. Nobody even knew, right, that we took care of so much stuff because it was just taken care of. But the one thing that I didn't do enough of is celebrate it, talk about it, and tell people about it. And unfortunately, I got caught up into this track where my peers were getting promoted over me, and I was doing way more work than them, right? And/or there were some situations people were getting credit for things that I did, and they're getting promoted, and nobody's looking my way. Is one thing that I would really stand on that our peer group does very well, which is talk about their accomplishment and publicize it to the whole world, including, the teams, blog posts, and just publicizing it more. Because I do feel like there's a lot of things that you and I've worked on that the world will never know about. But if we publicized it more, and or teams that we worked with would know that individually, Bobby's the contributor of this. Oh, I didn't know that. Rather than this other individual that spoke about it, is I would have played that game a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, being humbled and being like, oh, you don't need to say it. No, you need to be shouting it from the mountaintop, because you get passed up on so many times that when I left Twitter as a staff engineer, but in my books, I was close to principal engineer, senior staff principal engineers, and it's because I got caught up, or I missed the promotion loops, because I just didn't have my voice loud enough. So that would be something that I would encourage anybody, especially as you're working and being, 5, 6, 7 years, is like always working towards moving to that next level, but also making sure that you're getting credit for all the great stuff that you're doing, because somebody else will step into that lane and or get promoted over you. So that would be something that I would change in my journey.
Yeah, that's actually great advice. I think I got that same advice from another mentor too. They actually told me, they were like, a white man will come in the first day of working there and say, how can I get promoted? What should I do? Like, blah, 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 and talk about that. Meanwhile, someone else, a woman or something like that, or someone with a more quiet personality, humble personality, will just not say anything and hope their work speaks for himself. Yeah. And you'll see where they end up. So yeah, learning how to advocate for yourself is like so important. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%.
That piece of advice that you shared.
I got you, Asia. I got you. Because it's like when I stumble, I'm like, it's all right that I stumble, because I ain't gonna let you stumble. So that's why I'm dropping these gems, and hopefully everybody catches these feedback that I'm giving.
For sure.
Gems.
My last question is,
what up?
So
Asia?
I know that you had kind of like a non-conventional career path. And right now, a lot of new grads are very stressed, or just people that are just entering their career are very stressed about whether they'll have an opportunity to get a job. They're very discouraged about applications. What was the biggest piece of advice that you'd offer someone that's in this position that's getting discouraged?
Great question, because we have been going through a lot of layoffs.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many great engineers are the ones that are getting their tickets and or their line item on a spreadsheet crossed through. Is number one, realizing that you are a line item on a spreadsheet. No matter how much you think the company needs you, they can find somebody else at a cheaper rate, and or they can just cut the project that you're working on. But number two is definitely just being mindful of the roller coaster that we're on in our industry. So I started way back in 2002, and that's right after the dot-com bubble, and we were kind of on this trek heading back up, right? But there was a roller coaster that we went through, and that roller coaster being either companies, bankrupting and or massive layoffs, is number one, just being prepared for it. Like you mentioned earlier, one of the best gems that if y'all don't know, there's a rewind button, click rewind so you can hear Asia talk about this, is keeping your knife sharp and always be interviewing so that you're prepared for the next opportunity. Because you are right, this is a roller coaster, and there are going to be some ups and downs. Now, people that are getting into the industry, this is going to be the most difficult time for you, because these doors aren't as open as they used to be, but they're still open. You just got to try harder and or put yourself in the right position. The thing that I mention to a lot of mentees is that sometimes there's such a high level of companies that you want to work at. Oh, I only want to work at Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. Like, this is the only place that I work, or I'm not working at all in tech. Is during this climate, you need to be okay with dialing that back down to like, hey, I'm going to work at a startup. Or I'm going to be working on a side project. I'm going to be contributing to an open source thing. You're going to be continuing to contribute to something so that you can develop the real world experience outside of theory. And that's always my biggest advice to my mentees, especially if they're coming out of college, getting into this industry, is number one, it's all right. Google, Facebook, and them, they're going to be here in the next 3-4 years. Maybe that's when the roller coaster is back on the incline, right? And then you apply for that. But that position right there at the startup that just started, yo, don't not walk by a door and not walk through it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Is work towards getting those opportunities and developing skills, because then when it's time for those companies, because like I said, we're on a roller coaster, to increase hiring, you're right there in the front line, not only with out of college in terms of a degree, but now you have work experience, which is key.
Exactly.
So that would be my main advice for everybody that has experienced this downward slope and the roller coaster we're on, is just know that it's going to come back up. Keep at it, keep pushing, And if you do have an opportunity to take something a little bit less, because it's not that big FANG companies, walk through that door, and I guarantee you 3 to 5 years, they're going to be begging for you to work for them. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Good shout outs.
That's some gems, just in case nobody knew.
D Hustle's like, I'm writing it down. Well, Asia, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you. This is great.
Gosh, this is a great conversation, and hopefully you feel real, safe and comfortable in our studio setup.
Yep.
We over here in WeWork in Wynwood, hanging out in Miami. This is our first stop in our tech tour that we're doing.
Oh, nice.
We are doing a nationwide tour, going to 10 cities, pulling up a lot of friends and colleagues of mine and talking about our journey in tech. And guess what? This is our first stop. So,
great. I'm
cue up the
honored.
music for us real quick, D Hustle, so we can close it out. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to say thank y'all so much for tuning into our second special guest here in Backstage with BobbyD. I promise you're going to love all the remaining guests I have. And remember, there's a rewind button because Asia was dropping some gems. Yeah. Cue that sound. Whenever you hear that sound, that's what the section you need to go through, right? Again, Asia, thank you so much for pulling up, hanging out with us. D Hustle always holding it down, my guy. And again, keep tuning in because I got some more guests pulling up. Holla at your boy. It's Bobby D.